So let's go look at it from another angle. Some cool thing of why they're having an existential crisis. Obviously, I'm gonna make that thing removable out the back, and I'm gonna make the front splitter removable. Blah, 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 blah. But sometimes I say something funny. What's up, people? We are back for the King Zero V12 supercar build, and it's a funny time for a video. It's actually night, it's the end of the evening. I don't even have all the lights on because today I was doing a bunch of filming for something really cool that actually you're gonna have to wait months to see with regard to this, but it's gonna be awesome, awesome film. And people who are accustomed to some of my videos in the past with Genius Garage and a Dodge Viper, you might get a hint as to where you will see something really cool. But let's get down to it. So what's going on with the King Zero and the steel in the coach building? So tonight, I want to go over that with you. I've got obviously some panels up here at the top you can see, doing some finite stuff. So what we're going to do is, it's going to be all about the form. So tonight, I want to just kind of get up some big high angles, look down at it, look all around, and just check it out. So the other thing, you're going to be like, Casey, why are you doing a boring video? Are we just going to look at the car and you're going to talk about it? Well, yeah, the channel's named Casey Putsch, and I go blah, 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 blah. But sometimes I say something funny, and I have something interesting that is causing me to make this video at a funny time. In fact, recently, Tyler Hoover from Hoovy's Garage has acquired something very cool that he is very proud of on how he did it. And I am going to totally show him up next week. Yes, I am really excited. My wife is not happy with the deal I made, but I am really, really happy with the deal I made. I should like it too. It's brilliant. It's awesome. I found something in a junkyard. I hope this happens. Otherwise, I'm gonna look like an idiot doing this video and not work out. But I gotta get the trailer, and I gotta load that up, and I gotta do something. Dreams come true. And the Jabberwock jackwagon build is coming up. And I know what I'm potentially gonna drag back here is going to confuse everybody, and you're going to think that what I got is going to be the Jabberwock jackwagon. And for you guys that don't know what that is, that's why I got a Viper V10 back here, because I'm going to build the ultimate street car, which is crazy because the thing I'm doing can be the ultimate street car, but that's not the ultimate street car. It's nothing but automotive dreams. You may be dreaming right now. Don't read too much into that, especially if you are imbibing in the smoking arts. Let's not consider this a half-forgotten nightmare of a dream once gone by. Let's look at the King Zero. Guys, we are going all kinds of rogue POV. Yes, sweeping, panning shots of glory. Yeah, I know. Okay, whatever. So it is now late. But what is cool is the car is in fact on the ground, so you can see some interesting things going on. So let's just pick apart its faults like the interweb likes to do. Now, first thing some of you notice is these big honkin', wonky, wavy dents malarkey going on here. What's up with that, Casey? Well, we're talking heat when you start MIG welding this edge here to the wire. So these will dent. Now the thing about it is I still have to weld this whole edge. So that's going to put heat in it. Now the beautiful thing about this steel is it's quite soft. So by using a slap hammer, or like it'll do that, what am I trying to say? By using a slap hammer, I'll be able to nicely smooth all that out. So actually it's going to be quite beautiful. So that's obviously quite rough, and you can see that. You can see here where Jacob, the nice and hilarious sarcastic boomer that was here, taught me how to shrink the metal using friction and a cool damp rag. But what we've got going on here, you can see from the last video, this is the 90-degree bend that has the very subtle curve on it. So today what was happening is these panels here out of steel, we cut out. Now, this is not yet welded on, it's not tacked on. You can see it's just sitting there nicely on this, the cold rolled steel rod, which is tacked with this steel in place. So this is going to get trimmed and it's going to be welded right here to that seam. And then of course, this will be able to nicely sit on here, and that will also be welded there. Now, there's some issues with regard to it. This metal currently is dead flat on the lateral plane this way. It curves on the longitudinal plane, or on the longitudinal axis, excuse me, but lateral axis, it's dead straight. The car actually needs to have a bit of crown, similar to the crowning of a road. So it does have to have a very subtle compound curve. And you can see that this panel here curves going this way, you know, from right over to left like that, but it also curves on the up and down axis. So this is a nice compound curve, also makes this stronger, and generally makes the car a lot prettier. Now, if the car had no compound curves at all and these were dead flat, it would look like a giant origami piece. It'd look kind of cheap and not real nice in terms of craftsmanship. So let's look at a few things here. This is the windshield that opens up here. It hinges right there. You guys can see that. So that thing hinges. If we get down here and look, it has a very subtle curve, which starts here and goes down the nice front of the car. Real pretty like that, right? So there's the subtle curve. Now, some of these things are frankly mistakes by me in building it. The curve here, there's no curve. This is dead flat across right here. This area here has an ever slight compound curve. It's darn near flat, but it does crown slightly. Let's see if we can see that together. The metal here on the front, the crown. If we get down low, I think you can see that. Notice the slight subtle crown. Okay. Well, the front of the windshield, the leading edge here, is quite straight, and that's all right because it's straight there, but at the top, really needs to have a subtle crown. And you can see right now, it's like dead straight across. So that's what I'm gonna have to do and come back. In fact, this panel here, the top of the windshield, it's welded here and here. And then on the back side, I have started to kind of painstakingly bend that with hitting it with a hammer and holding weight on it around the wire. So I really need to surgically remove this, and then my cold rolled steel wire, I'm going to need to put it like kind of a bridge sort of thing underneath and get the curve right laterally. I'll do the same thing here, but then what happens is to get it right, since this middle area here will now be raised up a little bit, this part of the triangle of the opening of the engine cover also has to come up that much. So I will have to cut this tack weld here and these tack welds here, and that'll move up. And then the other thing is there's a bit of support right here. You can see, I'm gonna come back. You can see that straight line from right here all the way up to there. So that's the other support. That's gonna have to be cut. And the other one right here, that's gonna have to be cut. And then what I'll be able to do is take that at the point, raise it up slightly to where the crown will be, and it'll just ever so slightly bend from this point. We're talking, I mean, less than a degree probably, maybe a degree of movement. So basically imperceivable, everything will be fine, and it'll maintain that subtle curve. But by doing that, I have to do that so that these two panels here, these triangular ones, I can throw in the English wheel and get that nice curve here on the longitudinal axis, but also on the lateral axis to give it the right kind of crown, just kind of give it that nice feeling. So a couple other things I want to show you guys detail-wise, and I hope this video is somewhat interesting to you, not watching me just bop around like a lunatic all the time. The nose here has some issues, okay? Now, what I did was, this point here is at the very bottom point of the car chassis. So on the horizontal plane, that's at the bottom. The bottom of the chassis down here is actually at the same height from the floor. However, because the side of the car tucks in like a pretty waist, you know what I mean? It tucks in like this, goes underneath, kind of like the old disc of Van Lante, Alfa Romeo, or even a Countach. This part here also needs to tuck in a bit more. And the other thing about it is, if you look at it from the side profile, it has to do with visual weight. So now the side panels in the metal isn't there, so it looks a little bit different, but it's very trim here, and it has a certain visual weight. But because this comes down and it's rather flat, this is a little too heavy. So from this line here, if it comes down and terminated just a little bit above, that line would kind of flow and continue into the side of the car, and the lines would flow. As you can see, this line, this point here, that goes from the center line of the car all the way back here, comes all the way back, and if you draw it, it effectively comes all the way to the point of the car. And even though there's no line there, it gives you the continuation of the motion of the art of the car. So that's what it's all about, and getting the balance of it right, because this is in fact sculpture. So I realized that most modern artists like to make a bunch of garbage and come up with some cool thing of why they're having an existential crisis and what it means, and why if they sneeze on a white canvas, that's so awesome. But those people doing modern art, I basically think you're Duchamp throwing a urinal in a gallery because you realize the modern art world is a bunch of BS. So there are actually rules in art as to what's pretty in form and shape. So we're gonna go with that because I want my car to be pretty and not just modern art garbage. Ha! Okay, it's late. I'm gonna say whatever I want. Okay, so there's that. So let's go look at it from another angle you guys haven't gotten to see yet. So here, and it's kind of backlit, so that's cool. Now there's something you're gonna see, and this is where these 2 points here, it's a little wide. So let's climb up dangerously at night and hope I don't die. This is a horrible thing to climb on. I'm climbing on a sheet metal brake. Oh God. Okay, here, you're gonna immediately see what I screwed up. Now keep in mind that the camera lens will distort this in a way that's a little odd. The front's obviously gonna look wider in proportion to it, but we're gonna try to do this here. So let's look at the very rear of the car, way back here. And that point nicely curves and starts tucking in and curving inward, and eventually want to continuing to a point like way out here. It's like line continuation in space, right, to get pointy. And then this would do the same, it tucks in nicely. But what happens is these lines nicely come to a point, and these lines up here curve and then come to a point. Keep in mind, all this stuff up in the front looks wider than it is because of the camera lens distortion, and I hope you guys will forgive me there. But this line here comes too far out. And even with the camera distortion, that's too far out. So this point here, I'm actually gonna have to move in between 2 and 3 inches, I bet, here and here. And what that's gonna do is, this line is gonna curve and tuck in. It's gonna be a little pointier, you know, a little nicer. So the lines from the outside come and tuck in. This one also will come in and tuck in an appropriate amount. I hope that makes sense to you guys. That's kind of just how you get into the art of it. The art of the car. So let's go check out the back. Ooh, by the way, shout out right now, 944, looking gorgeous because ceramic. Oh, I probably broke everything. But in all seriousness, I mean, it's hard to make white cars look that nice, and I've already put 2 coats of ceramic coating on. I'm pretty darn excited, and it's very nice to have a company supporting the car culture with this build. So that's what's going on. Also, I want to tell you guys in a minute after we're done looking at this, some things I learned about how doggone difficult this really actually is. So here we go, and I gotta climb up here at night and hope I don't die. Oh God, oh ACL, who needs that? All right, so here's my dumb face, yes. Okay, check it out, here this is. So I'm gonna just come in here, we're gonna look at it together. This is a little easier for me to try to sound intelligent. So this is a view you guys have not yet gotten to see. How epic is this? Seriously, holy crap. I mean, let's just have a moment here. I'm having a moment. V12, yes! You know, it's just so cool. I mean, obviously there's gonna be louvers here. The original car had louvers that went up like this because they were trying to bring air from above the car into here, and it had radiators back here. I didn't do that. I got the radiator up in the front at an angle, and the air that comes under the car goes through the radiator, gets in the engine bay, helps cool that, comes out the kind of camtail low pressure effect area here. But what I'm gonna do is change louvers on this hood so they go in this way and in this way, so that when air flows over the top of the car, it helps create a low pressure, and hot air from the engine bay and the radiator will then flow out. Because this back area of the car actually gradually curves downward. So naturally, as this thing goes through space, it's gonna create a lower pressure in this area. And with these fins going in like this, that will naturally let the air flow out. It'll basically be like a neutral area, nothing blocking air here, nice low pressure. It'll also get rid of lift. But let's talk about art and principles of design here a little bit. Obviously, you've got the triangle coming to a point, that's really great. Pointing forward, really nice. We talked about a minute ago of this beautiful body line, and that's the under one here, okay? How that comes to a point in space. This also comes to the point in space, really cool. When you look at how the windshield is here, and mine's a little bit different than the original. I changed it up slightly on proportions and ratios, so it still works in terms of the elements and principles of design, but also a little bit better visibility, a little bit better drivability. Now, you can see the tires here, and here, there's no fenders on that just yet. Now, from here, even though my front's a little too wide, in terms of the art of it and the balance, it still looks good. So it won't be real perceivable from this angle, but that'll kind of come in a little pointier right there. But I'm just so excited with how that looks and how the exhaust is coming out this way. I couldn't be happier. And you know, guys, I'm starting to second guess doing the big Le Mans wing on the back. Obviously, I'm gonna make that thing removable out the back, and I'm gonna make the front splitter removable. And the other thing about the car is, let's go ahead and hop down here. Hopefully I don't die. Don't die, Casey, don't die. Oh gosh, V12, yes. Okay. Let's see, what was the other thing we were gonna talk about? I'm sorry guys, it is a bit late. It's rough. Oh, let's talk about this. So these are kind of like the top things I have learned from doing this build. There were some things that surprised me, even me building cars for a long time and being successful with like the turbine powered Batmobile, building this crazy giant flying pterosaur model, and just cars and race cars and everything. This is my first full coach build car. I've done stuff where, you know, I got a fiberglass body and you put it on and you make it nicer and you build a car underneath. And I also did here the Omega car where the entire body it's a monocoque. And I sculpted the entire thing by hand with weird funky processes and it was a great car. But that's a total different process. The King Zero here is my first coach build metal car. And I did it out of steel partially because I'm better at welding steel. And I just knew it'd be a bit easier. But here's the thing. I thought I was going to be done with this car a couple of months ago. And it turns out that coach building a car is really, really, really time consuming. It's hard, but it's insanely time consuming. And the thing that I learned about this that's been such a huge lesson to me, you know, in our modern times, we have no time for anything. You know, even with convenience, this isn't the time, our time is eaten alive. And back in the day, let's say like the 1920s and 1930s, people's time was not worth what it is now, but materials were very expensive. And nowadays, time is expensive and materials are cheap. And this car is done like how cars and things were built 100 years ago, 50 years ago and before. So it's it smacked me upside the head in terms of learning because it's kicking my ass. There's just so much work with this car that I have to work 3 times as hard with everything from making the videos to editing them, normal life, doing phone calls, planning for next year, getting the V10 for the Jabberwocky build, trying to have a life with my wife, doing the 944, ceramic coating it, and hopefully make it so Avalon King doesn't want to kill me. And honestly, I got to apologize to him because I told him we'd have it done sooner. But, you know, I think it's going to be awesome. And we're all kind of stuck in the house with this COVID nonsense. So hopefully it's just the proof is in the pudding in getting it done so that we can get it out and have lots of fun together as a car community, go to Cars and Coffee, goes on drives, because I'm so excited. I mean, look how amazing that looks. But it's a crazy learning lesson. Like, I just didn't realize it was going to take this kind of time, and that's all right. But I just have a huge new appreciation for time periods gone by with building cars, whether that was in the 60s, 50s, 40s, 30s, 20s, way back when, just coach building cars and how, you know, how difficult that is in terms of time management and the process management of doing something like that. You know, truth of the matter is there's thousands of people watching this video right now, young and old, that could do this themselves if they had the tenacity and stuck through it and chose to learn and thought it out really well. I know you guys could, but it's difficult to have the kind of life that you can do it. So I hope you're all enjoying it, but that's just kind of my learning lesson. It's been really humbling to know just how much time is in there, but I really appreciate you guys watching. It really does mean a lot, and I'm enjoying that. So huge, just like bombshell I'm gonna drop next week with something. I hope the deal doesn't fall through. I'm picking up today when you see this, but it's tomorrow because I recorded this last night. And it's just really exciting. So I'm so glad you guys are all here. Please, if you haven't subscribed, you got to. Like, I'm gonna bring you the craziest stuff. And hit the bell, you know, and just let's try to beat the YouTube algorithm, because YouTube's kind of rough on people, frankly, on creators. And I just want to have an awesome community here. So thank you guys for watching. As always, but seriously, a sincere thank you to the Avalon King company. The ceramic coating is awesome. I've got it all up on my 944. The cars never look better. I put it on the wheels. I mean, I threw away my waxes, guys. Stuff works. You should use it. I mean, makes all the trim look good too. So it's pretty cool when a company supports a car community, but frankly, they've got a product that works amazingly. So that's it, guys. That's for the King Zero. So hopefully my wife doesn't kill me when I go home. See you guys next time.